you ready to boost your confidence when selling so you're able to close more deals? Nikki Roush will show you how to build a foundation of skills and a mindset that creates sales success without feeling pushy or salesy and without fear of rejection. She is a sales strategist and coach with more than 25 years of sales experience and is master certified in neuro-linguistic programming. This is a radically different approach to selling. It's a no sleaze, no slime, and no stress approach to building your business. This is Sales Maven. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Roush, your own personal sales maven, here to offer you tips, techniques, and strategies to master that sales conversation. Today's episode is one of our sales success stories. I am beyond thrilled to welcome to the show my guest today, John Alvarado. John, hi.
Hello, how are you? I am so grateful to be on and think so highly of you, Nikki. Thank you very much for having me on it. It really is an honor, so thank you.
Oh, well, you guys will all hear by the end of the show how much I really love John. John is a VIP client of mine. We have been working together now for, I guess we started working together in June.
And we got the official date. Yeah, May 27th is
May 27th.
Yeah.
I love that you know the exact date. And it has just been such a great, it's been really great getting to know you. I am super impressed with you as a person. And as a client, you could not be more ideal because I say this often, implementers get results. And you guys are going to hear John is the ultimate implementer and he has gotten some phenomenal results. So I'm super excited to share about him and the results he's gotten. But John, before we get into that, let the listeners know a little bit about you and your business, because what you do and the impact that you're going to make in the world is so awesome.
Well, first, thank you, Nikki, for that introduction. Yeah, my name's John Alvarado. It's great to connect with you all out there. I'm the founder of Teach Financial Literacy, and Teach Financial Literacy is a financial literacy program designed to break barriers for low-income students and families. And I am just, 7-8 months into the business, transition out of the classroom, and here I am.
And what were you doing in the classroom?
So I taught for 12 years as a math teacher, math algebra teacher, and then financial literacy teacher. And so just use those skills then to start a business and excited about the possibilities moving forward now.
And I feel like, because I know a little bit about your story, that what has driven you to really start this Teach Financial Literacy and the impact this is going to make for the people, specifically the kids who go through your program. So will you talk a little bit about that?
In regards to my story, then, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, your story, yeah. But also sharing you have some really phenomenal statistics too of how when kids learn about financial literacy, the impact that it makes long-term in their life and in their family.
Sure. So the interesting stat with school, just in general, you think to yourself, gosh, kids are in school a lot. At least that was that was what I thought. But then when you do the math, they're only in school from birth to age 18, 10% of the time. And so really attacking that 90% that they're not in school and giving them those skills, because financial literacy is not a required course yet around the United States. I believe in 20 to 22 states, maybe it is required. But giving them those skills, it could increase their lifetime earning potential by up to $3 million. And that's a huge deal from someone who is in poverty, trying to get out and trying to just break that barrier of generational poverty is a tremendous challenge, but it's also exciting too.
And so this financial literacy program does teach them about financial literacy, but it also preps them for college too. Yeah?
Absolutely. It's college and career ready. So again, the option there is if a kid wants to go to college and they think that that's their path, then we have lessons in there. However, if they're ready to start their career after high school, there are lessons in there to help them along as well, plus other financial literacy topics that are so useful and that, to be honest with you, we use every day. We're just not aware of them.
What would be an example of one?
Oh, God, net worth, understanding your net worth, assets, liabilities, opportunity cost, insurance. I mean, everything that, I just had a conversation yesterday with someone who was in their early 20s, and I was explaining what I do, and it's like, wow, that's so neat. I wish I would have had that in high school because I have no idea what I'm doing. And I think that's the prevalent thought amongst a lot of people, that these skills are important, really, to understand their own behavior around finances, and to help them move forward in their career and in their life.
Yeah. Yeah. I love what you're doing. I'm super excited about it. And you are selling into schools. So this is an opportunity for schools, districts, individual schools to have access to this program and these lessons, so that this now is curriculum that they can either teach in the classroom and or something that the kids can have access to outside of the classroom. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the way the world is today, the virtual learning, it's very flexible to meet the needs there. Everything's done. Everything's taught. It's allowed to go at their own pace. So there's a lot of flexibility to really specifically meet the needs of wherever that student is at.
Yeah. And then there's something that you just added in the last 2 months, I think, since we've been working together, that came about from a deal. So we're going to get into the specifics about that. But this piece that you added to the program, which makes it more accessible, and I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
but will you share what it was that you added?
So along this process of breaking barriers, you realize that there's all kinds of barriers that we all break. We're trying to break ourselves, but one of the big ones was a language barrier. And I even noticed that when I switched schools, that the first school that I taught in had really, really significant language issues around English and Spanish. Had a lot of English language learners. And the next school I went to didn't have the same challenge, just not quite as significant. And so you notice the difference there. And so now we're able in the program here that we have to provide a Spanish option for students to learn. And that is a big, big deal for students who are learning the English language, to be able to learn financial literacy skills. And then as their language develops, then they can combine the financial literacy skills with their language skills and really put themselves in a better position.
Yeah, it's so phenomenal. And also if they have Spanish speaking parents at home, right, that the parents can also then help facilitate with the lessons, because the lessons are now in Spanish as well as English.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Just having that communication between, the parent, guardian, and the student, or who's ever taking care of the student. Yeah, it's a big, big deal. And again, everything's taught. And so it's just a matter of prompting them to speak with one another and just to have open communication. So yeah, the Spanish part of it is a huge deal for a lot of kids.
Yeah. So I could sit and just talk about the topic itself for ever with you. And we do talk about this stuff a lot, but it's because you're making such a difference in the lives of people. If you think about how many lives can be impacted that go through this, and that this increases their overall earning potential by $3 million in their lifetime, that's a big impact that you're making on the world. And I'm just so in awe of you, and I feel like I'm so inspired by you and your own story. And that that I don't think we went into that too much, but what really prompted you to do this was that you also felt like there weren't a lot of opportunities for you, and having to figure out how you were going to make your own way in the world, which is really kind of the catalyst, I think. I'm sharing your story because I love your story a little bit, but so please maybe speak to that just a little bit, and then we'll dig into some specifics around sales and how you have been using the techniques that we've been working on and the results that you're getting.
So so back to the story there. I mean, I think it's just it's just what life throws at you, and you learn that adversity is there for you to improve, and nothing's going to be easy. And I think just providing what's gratifying is just providing that hope, when it feels like hope isn't there, because I know that feeling pretty well. And, just having a support system and knowing that, hey, there are things possible, just if you can put your mind to it and just go for it, you're going to be okay. And so to be able to provide this for the world really is, I'm grateful and thankful, and look forward to the progress that students will be able to make through the program.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, let's get into some of the success stuff. So I always like to start with how did you, what was your impression about selling or your own sales skills before we started working together?
Oh my goodness. I still am a nervous wreck, and the anxiety and the stress of everything, it's part of it. But I think the confidence level since working with you has just, your skill set is so phenomenal. It's helped me out so much. It has just been such a transition. I think back to even before I started working with you, where I was at, and it has been just night and day difference. Just sitting in meetings now and just understanding the other side of it, and it's in large part to your skill set and your experience. I've benefited greatly from you for sure.
So thank you. And again, everybody, John is an amazing implementer. We get down into the nitty gritty about how to prep for each meeting that he's having. We review the proposals that he's sending for each client. And I'm constantly offering him let's tweak this little language piece. But before we get there, what prompted you initially to reach out and get support around sales? And specifically, what was it that prompted you to contact me?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had started, I was having avatar issues, if you want to call it, but I knew that this deep down, that just trusting and believing in the avatar that I was reaching, that it could make an impact. And then once I started to email out, it was the end of April, I was getting some interest, but I noticed once I was in the meeting, I was just going off instinct. I wasn't, I hadn't built up a skill set. And I needed someone desperately to help me out with experience, with my skill set, selling. And so I was sitting there. I went back in the archives and back to Facebook on May 16th, and I looked through, and Jeanette Stein, one of your members, had posted about you, and that led from one thing to another. Then I heard you on Flip Lifestyle podcast. And then I got your book. And then the next thing you know, I'm signing up for your, I don't even know what I signed up for, but it was a video. I think it was 3 videos. And just, you made so much sense. And I just wrapped my head around your content. And then it was for me, it was one of those deals where you just, in your gut, you just know. It was a no-brainer. And it was just a matter of talking to my wife saying, hey, listen, there's some interest here. I have a sense of urgency. She's phenomenal. She can help out. She has an amazing skill set. And I've just been completely blown away by your one-of-a-kind skill set. So really, from me to you, thank you.
Wow. I don't think I knew all of that. I thought you had heard me on a podcast and you just reached out to me, and then you and I got on this call and we had this great conversation. I didn't know all this behind the scenes stuff. So thank you. I'm incredibly flattered by that. And I think the important thing that I just want to ping on here that you had talked about is that, you had done a great job of garnering interest, but that piece, when you got into the actual meeting and having some structure to the conversation and being able to lead the client or potential client, prospect, I guess, in this case, through that conversation to get to the place where, one of the things I teach often, and John has done such a great job of, is he no longer gets off of the call without having the next meeting scheduled, right? That was one of the first things that I noticed that you were doing such a great job of implementing. And that's just really led to some really great successes. So let's talk about what really prompted me to ask you to come on to share your success story, because something really big happened from you following this structure and implementing a structure into your process. So will you tell us about your, let's celebrate you now, John, and your
Absolutely. So I at the end of May, we started working together, and I was in the middle of meetings, and there were some slight tweaks that we made, and you were very gracious about, where the point that I was at. And I really, really appreciate that about you, that you met me where I was at. But it was so nice then that the meeting that had at the end of June, so just in a matter of 2 or 3 weeks, was able to basically start the process over. Okay, can you help me out, Nikki, with the script? What questions do I need to ask? Literally everything about the system that I was doing flipped over, and we started from square one. And that process led to a $48,000 sale. And that was my first sale. And it was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
It was incredible. Like, it still makes me I get choked up. One of the things that John has access to me is through Voxer. So you and I spend a lot of time on Voxer together. That's part of his VIP program. And the message that you left when you got that order, I have it saved because it was so exciting. John had worked so hard, and a $48,000 sale was a game changer, right? Like, this completely, well, one, it validates that you have something of real value, that you have people who are willing to pay money for it. But there are some other things that are going on too, right? The way that this impacts your family and your life. Not everybody's first sale is going to be a $48,000 sale. But John's are. Like, we've got bigger ones on the horizon, right? But this idea around putting these things in place so that you could get that first big sale, it was just, I don't know if you want to say anything more about it, but for me, I will say it's one of my most satisfying moments as a coach, the message that you left me after you got that purchase order.
Well, yeah, thank you. And yeah, that was, you just realize, as an entrepreneur, you know the time that you put in, and like you had mentioned, the blood, sweat, tears, the anxiety, the stress, the wondering, is this going to work? Am I doing whatever the right thing is? Am I doing the right thing? But then ultimately coming back to, I had a huge amount of trust in you, a huge amount of belief in you. And there was a moment of when I started working with you, I just told my wife, I'm like, I just have to be coachable. Just let her coach, let her skill set take over. And like you'd mentioned, just implement. And then, yeah, just all the emotion just kind of came to that moment. And it was neat how that kind of just all came together and just happened. So yeah, still very grateful for it, for sure.
Well, I'm grateful too. And I'm grateful to your wife, because I know that it was a big financial commitment for you guys based on where you were in your business when we started. And to get that nice big order that obviously covers the investment that you made in yourself around sales training. So that validates, but it's nice to have that support system, right? Of somebody who really believes in you, that's at home, and who is right there in it with you. So I love the story of your wife and the kids, and just the idea that this is really making a difference, not just in the lives, obviously, of the people who are going to go through the Teach Financial Literacy program, but also in your own life and what this means for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, again, go back to, I think back to the trust of just trusting the process, and just having that belief that, okay, there's going to be some muddy waters along the way, and that's just part of the deal. But putting the trust back in you, like I just said, just got laser focused into what I was doing to just trust you, and basically eliminated all other distractions. And it just got to a point where it worked out, and now just ready for the next one, and just to keep the momentum going.
Yeah, for sure. And they're right there, right? So let's talk about some of your biggest takeaways, some of the things that you have implemented, and any that you want to share specifics for people who are listening. What were some of the things that for sure you adjusted or tweaked or implemented that have made an impact in your sales conversations? And specifically also, if you're willing to share in your email communication too, because I know you and I work a lot on that.
Oh yeah. Well, again, it comes back to just trusting your skill set, because one of your, maybe it was a podcast, but somewhere along the line I heard you say, words are your jam, and they're not they're not my jam. So again, trusting you and trusting your skill set. Literally, to the audience out there, I flipped over everything. The system totally changed from what I was doing. To get more specific, I think one of the biggest things is asking people for permission to make a proposal. Is it okay if I ask you questions? Just all those things. It's amazing when I ask those, the head nods that happen. And it just creates that sense of safety, like, okay, everything's going to be okay in this meeting. I think that's really important on the other side too. So that, from asking questions, everything. I've just sat back really in awe of, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And the shift that we've made in just a month and a half has blown my mind too.
Yeah, you're doing such a great job. And I love that you speak to that specifically, because it's often a missed step in the sales process, is asking permission to move to the next step, which I also refer to as issuing the invitation. But when you ask permission and you totally get buy-in from the person, or in your case, a lot of times you're meeting with committees, right? There's been multiple people involved in the decision-making process with the deals that we're currently working on and the deal that you've closed. And it just creates, like you said, it creates this new sense of safety. People are really in. They've acknowledged, they've given you their permission. And now when you move to that next step, it doesn't sound like a hard or pushy sale. It sounds like, well, this is a natural progression to the sales conversation. So I love that you brought up that specifically, because I love the permission piece.
Oh, for sure. It has made such a big difference. And I reflect back on, just how I can get better from other sales calls, and those sales calls back in May and June, I definitely wasn't doing. And now it's almost like I make it a specific point to remember to do, if all else fails, that I, ask for permission. So yeah, that has been a game changer for sure.
Good. I love that you spoke to that. All right, good. Well, here's what my next question for you is. Now, knowing what you know, if you were to come across somebody who is struggling with sales, what would be a piece of advice that you would give, knowing the steps that you took? What would you say to somebody who is struggling with sales?
Hire you, to be blunt.
That wasn't what I wasn't trying to plant that.
So I'm being serious there. And I really confidently believe that you can impact, so many people, so if you're listening to this and you're on the fence and you've gone through by yourself, and, you're going through that trial and error, and you're just not sure, and you're having that anxiety and stress of, oh my gosh, should I go through? Should I hire someone like Nick? Absolutely do it. Because that nervous pit that you have in your stomach, that's probably a sign of growth too. That growth is on the horizon, and it's just a matter of, and growth can feel uncomfortable too. So, but having someone like Nikki for me along the way has just been a huge asset, in the mentorship, I think, is so important. I didn't have any experience in sales. And so I was looking for experience, and I was looking for a skill set, and someone who was a fantastic listener, and that's Nikki. And so I would definitely recommend, if you're listening to this podcast and you've thought about, you're thinking about hiring her or want to talk to her, do it. So that's my big recommendation there.
And thank you. That's incredibly kind. And I will say, I also am a big believer in investing in yourself. And I find that when I invest in myself, it always pays off, which it's funny because the podcast that you heard me on was me talking to my coach about the investment that I made in him and the results that came. And then here I get to work with you as a result of going on and sharing about that. So, yeah, if you have those nerves about investing in yourself, like, I just think there's no better investment, frankly, than to invest in yourself. And whether that's, working with me or whether that's hiring somebody to do something that you're struggling with. I mean, that's what I do when I'm hiring is I look for who has a skill set that I don't have. And can I either hire them to teach me it or can I hire them to do it, right? Like one or the other. My coach often says, like, you're either going to open your wallet or you're going to spend time. Like, which one do you want to spend? For me, typically it's I'll spend money to get the skill set that I need because I know it comes faster. I know that especially when I have somebody who will guide me, that makes such a difference. So if you haven't invested in yourself lately, I would encourage you to do that. And it does pay off, especially when you implement. That to me is the key, is that when you implement, you get results. You are such a phenomenal implementer, John. Like, I just could not be more thrilled for you and your success and know what's possible for you as you continue to grow this business. I can't even imagine what type of conversation you and I will be able to have next year about your success because you're such a great implementer, because you really like dig in to the things that we work on and you ask a lot of really smart questions. You don't ever let me just give you an answer. If you're like, if you're not sure about it, you always come back and go like, tell me more about this, or I'm not sure what you mean, Nikki, or like any of those things. So I love that about you. Maybe that's the teacher in you, but you're just such a great student, frankly.
Well,
okay.
So yeah. Well, and thank you really quick for your patience there too. I think that's important too. Because being that student, thinking back into the classroom, like, students wanted a teacher who was very patient, understood where they were at. And that's been you too with me. So thank you. Thank you for your patience as well.
Oh, I feel like I'm blushing now. Okay. John, tell listeners how they can connect with you, because there's probably somebody listening who would love to have this in their kid's school and maybe could make a connection for you. Or maybe somebody listening has the ability to put this program in place and they need access to teach financial literacy. Or frankly, if you just want to connect with John, because he is absolutely one of the most amazing people I have ever worked with. So how can people connect with you?
Well, thank you, Nikki. Yeah, right now it's just, it's a lot of email. So it's john@teachfinanciallit.com. So I'm going to spell that out. It's JON, then the @ symbol, TEACHFINANCIALLIT.com. My website is also www.teachfinanciallit.com. You can send me a message on there. I would love to hear from you. Love to connect. Regardless if you're interested in the financial literacy course for your kids' classroom or just want to connect and just talk. So yeah, I would love to hear from you.
Oh, thank you. That's please connect with John, because he really is a phenomenal person. He is so committed to his mission of teaching kids how to be college and career ready. And it's just, to me, it's so inspiring. Like, you're making a huge impact on generations to come. So this is super exciting. All right. Thank you, John, for being here. As we close out the show, I do want to make a special offer. If you are struggling with sales and you would like some support with it, the best place to start is in the Sales Maven Society. This is the place where you and I connect. You bring questions, you bring your situations, your concerns. I'm going to provide answers and guidance to boost your confidence in your own sales situations. So you can join the Sales Maven Society now by going to salesmavensociety.com. And I have a special coupon code for your first month. You can come and be in the Sales Maven Society for $27. It's normally $97 a month. This is a membership platform. There is a tremendous amount of training housed there for you. You get access to me in a private group. You get access to me multiple times throughout the month on live calls. The coupon code to get that $27 a month for your first month is 27 trial. All one word, 27 TRIAL, 27 trial. Come join the Sales Maven Society. We'd love to have you. John's in there, so you can come connect with John in there as well. And thanks again, John, for being here.
Well, thank you for having me on. I think so highly of you and have a tremendous amount of respect for you and what you're about. And thank you from me to you for all your help.
Oh, thank you so much. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.